My kids ran away from the house while I was sleeping. When police found them, they said I kicked them out. I woke up to CPS knocking on my door. Hold on, because this is a doozy. I'm going to omit some details to help keep myself from getting doxxed about this whole thing. Last year, my kids girl 9 and boy 7 ran away late at night, early in the morning. When found by some city officials, they claimed I kicked them out of the house. I woke up in the morning to the police and CPS knocking on the door. I told my side of the story from what I knew, and they had my now ex-wife tell her side while keeping us separated. The cops claim our stories don't match and end up arresting me. I bail myself out that same day and go live with my parents for a while. I'm dealing with the court, scared that I'm going back to jail or prison and that I'll lose my job that I had only been at for a year. A little over a month goes by, and I get a phone call to have a meeting with the CPS woman in charge of our case. My daughter ended up making more allegations against me that did not make any sense to the CPS people, and when they asked her questions, she was unable to give them answers. My son ended up breaking first and admitting the whole thing was made up and that my daughter was the one to orchestrate everything. This reveal led to the charges being dropped and my daughter getting counseling and psychiatric help. For a while, I thought things were good. We were on our way to fix things. I kept trying to get all of us into therapy, both individually and family. I was already in therapy due to this whole situation anyway. My ex kept dragging her feet and it never went anywhere. After some other situations with being displaced due to a natural disaster and me trying to get things packed up in our old apartment, I get told by my ex she wants a divorce, so now I'm having to rush and try to find a place to live, which I did luckily. I actually move in tomorrow. On the 14th of June, I get served an emergency protection order by the county sheriff's office. I'm told it's because I allegedly hit my son and gave him a concussion while in the grocery store, where there are cameras. He had been taken to the emergency room by my ex on the 14th, but this event allegedly happened on the 10th. I had told my ex that due to me having to get this house to rent along with utilities in my name, adding up to over $2,000, that I wasn't going to be able to pay certain bills this month, but that I'll get them caught up as soon as I can to get everything paid off and even. I signed for the deposit on the 11th, and the kids had been with her while I did this paperwork, and there was no issue. On the same morning, I had taken my kids to the park so they could play and recorded videos of them being silly and having fun. I was talking to my therapist this week, and I told her what was going on and how I felt about being around my ex or the children. It's 2 years in a row of false allegations. I want nothing to do with any of them now. I'll pay child support gladly. I had an agreement with my ex before this all happened of paying $1,000 a month, $500 per paycheck for child support. After all of this, AITA for not wanting to be around the children and my ex after everything gets settled and found out to be lies again. Edit. I posted this before I clocked in at work, so let me give some more details. My ex-wife and I were still together when the kids ran away last year. My side of the story during that was that I came home from work, talked with the kids, and wife gave the kids their melatonin gummies before sending them to bed, after which I took a shower before making me something for dinner and cleaning up afterwards. By this point, my ex was asleep already, and so were the kids. When CPS and the mental health professionals were talking to my daughter after everything got cleared, she was saying the voices she was hearing were telling her to do things. The mental health professionals said this sounded too rehearsed to them. It later got revealed that she was watching videos on YouTube about kids pranking their parents, and she wanted to try it out herself. She had access to YouTube due to tablets that my mother-in-law had given the kids for Christmas back in 2023, which I disagreed with, but I was ignored. At the time, and to this day, I do not believe my ex had a hand in the running away situation. On to this year, my son went to the ER on the 14th because he had, and I quote from the paperwork I was given, dizziness, lightheaded feeling, and a nosebleed. I am not sure how he received a concussion. Nothing is finished with this situation yet, and nothing has been decided in terms of child support. We go back to court next month to revisit this after the investigation has finished. On the day I received the EPO, I talked to a state trooper and told him the kids' history showed the videos of my kids playing and showed receipts on my banking app from when we were at Walmart and at what time we were there. As of right now, I haven't heard anything else. I have already been interviewed by CPS and informed them of the same things I told the state trooper, because it is a different person on this case, as my ex and kids live in a different county at the moment. This time, I firmly believe that my ex is behind this, due to my telling her some of the bills would have to wait, because I'm having to pay approximately $500 to move put-down deposits and pay first and last month rent. I haven't seen my kids since I dropped them off to my grandparents on the afternoon of the 11th. I have not made a decision about staying away from my kids, but I do plan on talking to a lawyer in the next couple of days, and I'm looking into security for my house and a discreet body camera to wear, like many other users have said. I'll try to answer any other questions that I can, but I move tomorrow, and I have some last-minute things to pack up and place in my car and move downstairs. Thank you for all of your insights and words and thoughts and prayers. It means a whole lot to me that I can't put into words. Update 1. So I have an update along with answering some questions better from my previous post. When I first posted this, I was not in a good headspace and I realized that I wasn't very clear. To be honest, I'm still not in a good headspace, but it's a little bit better. For starters, these false allegations started last year when my kids were 9 and 7. When I said 2 years, I meant calendar years. When I said I spoke to the police about my side of the story last year, I meant what happened the night before the police and CPS showed up at the front door. I had gotten home, spent some time with the kids and my ex, then wife, before giving the kids their melatonin gummies. This was done on an as-needed basis, mainly 2 to 3 times a week at most. After that, I went and took a shower, made myself some dinner, then ate and cleaned up the kitchen before spending more time with my then wife before we both went to bed. Due to a contraction happening when she was being given the epidural, she sleeps better propped up, so she slept on the couch while myself and the kids slept upstairs. The next morning is when I woke up to the cops at the door with CPS. I was charged with child abandonment and arrested. It took over a month for the truth to come out about my kids making this up due to the fact my daughter was saying I was having intimacy with her. The CPS agent conducting the investigation tried to ask more details, and that's when my daughter started crying and admitted she made it up because she couldn't give details. The only reason my daughter even knew what intimacy was is because my ex and I were in the bedroom, and we both thought the other locked the door and my daughter walked in on us. Moving to now, I don't know how my son got this supposed concussion. We had court again on Monday the 21st, and when the judge asked her, she told him that, after talking with the state trooper, we have decided to not press criminal charges. I asked the judge if there was any evidence that they had about what they're claiming I did, and he told me that since no charges were filed, there's no evidence gathered to give to me. I want to thank everyone for their answers on my last post. Thinking about those feelings was making me sick to my stomach, and I just needed some perspectives from people who weren't emotionally involved. I thought about this since last month, and I made the decision to tell the judge I want the divorce process and this EPO to be over and done with, and that I just want to be left alone. I'm still questioning if this was the right decision or not. I'm just not sure what else I could do. I work 12-hour days, 5 to 6 days a week. I have no way to take care of the kids, so I can't take them in. Even then, am I supposed to get to the point where the court system says supervised visits aren't needed anymore and just start wearing a body camera around the kids and just be scared all the time, looking over my shoulder constantly just to make sure that I'm not going to end up in jail again? We have a hearing set up for December to hopefully get everything finalized and finished. I keep thinking about the kids going trick-or-treating in 3 months, going back to school next month, how we won't be decorating Christmas trees together or making cookies for Santa, and I start crying all over again. I'm not sure what else I could have done, though, that wouldn't have made me a paranoid mess 24/7. This will be the last update until December or January, I guess. Thank you again for everyone saying I wasn't a jerk for feeling this way. Have a good one, Reddit. Edit. Her words was that she just isn't in love with me anymore and we've both become too different. She's religious, I'm not. Both have different views on things that we can't come to an agreement on. After last year, I wanted to get us into therapy and got some recommendations from marriage counselors and gave her the list and said that I'd be fine with whoever she chose so long as we worked on it. She never chose anyone and kept making excuses about why every time I asked. Update 2. So this is a really small update that I wasn't expecting to make. I had left a voicemail for the CPS agent assigned to the current situation with my son, asking for an update on everything because I haven't heard anything since June. She had to look in her case notes, but everything has been found to be unsubstantiated. I should be getting the official paperwork in a few days to a week in the mail. I'm not sure how to feel about this, honestly. I'm relieved that the truth has come out about these allegations, angry that this has happened to me twice now, happy that this is one step closer to being finished. I want to cry, but I couldn't tell you the specific emotion that's causing it. I'm taking some other Redditors' words to heart and putting in a request to my state police records department to get copies of any and all paperwork evidence or lack thereof anything I can get my hands on from them. I'm also getting copies of my son's medical records so I can see exactly what was found back in June. I know a lot of you don't believe this and I don't care. I have nothing to gain from lying about this. I'll gladly post pictures of the paperwork from CPS when it comes in, with all private information redacted, of course, to protect myself and my children. I know some of the details don't make sense between the OG post and the update, but like I saw one person mention in Best of Redditor Updates, which I love to read posts from and didn't expect my own to end up there, I'm just going on survival mode. I only just got a full-sized fridge 2 days ago. I only have an air mattress for a bed. I'm just tired. I want this over with. I want things to go back to January when all I had to worry about was the fact I was recovering from a car wreck and couldn't even help take down the Christmas trees and get a new car. Story 2. AITA if I moved out once my stepmom got pregnant. Hi everyone. English isn't my first language, so I apologize in advance for any mistakes and sorry if this post is long. I, 24 female, still live with my dad and grandma, typical Asian family setup. My parents divorced when I was 3 and I lived with my mom until I was 16. From around age 11-12, I was basically living alone. My mom worked as a teacher in the city, but also started a small salon business in the province, so she was constantly back and forth. I only saw her 1 to 2 days a week, but she always left food and money for me. During this time, I didn't have a real father figure. I saw my dad maybe once or twice a month. He didn't really know I was living alone like that. So by the time I was a teen, I developed this mindset like, you don't get to show love now when I needed it most back then. And it still stuck with me until now. My father and I don't have a strong bond or close relationship. We barely talk even while living in the same house. The only person I really talk to is my grandma. So I don't care much about his life and never had the desire to build a father-daughter relationship. This is how I got to live with him at 16. My mom had financial issues and couldn't support me properly anymore. She asked me to ask my dad and grandma if I could move in with them. I've been living with them ever since. Fast forward to 2023. My dad finally married the woman he's been with for 10 years, his love of his life. He waited that long because he wanted me to finish high school. He's the calm, passive type who doesn't interfere much with anything, very typical Asian dad. My stepmom is the complete opposite, LOL. She's loud off and yells when she gets drunk and loves to party. She's usually the one who starts the arguments. They usually got invited by the neighbor to the party, even on Tuesday night. A few months ago, out of nowhere, my stepmom started talking to me about going to the pagoda to pray for a child. She said it's been 2 years and she still hasn't gotten pregnant. She kept going and said they were still trying for a child. I didn't really want to hear this part, so I just sat there nodding and giving polite responses like, oh, Then she asked for my opinion, and I said, well, that's your life. It's not really my business, but I suggest getting a job and saving up some money. Also, by that time, I'll probably move out. She immediately replied, your father won't let you. I replied, he can't stop me if I wanted to. That conversation really made me start thinking about saving up and planning to move out. Jump to August 3rd. I was alone in the kitchen when she came up to me and said, I have good news. I already knew what it was, she's pregnant. I congratulated her and asked how far along, and she said 2 months. Then she said, please don't tell your grandma, your aunt, or anyone yet. I said, okay. Then she continued, you don't have to move out. Your dad doesn't want you to, and your grandma will blame me if you do. The thing is, I want to move out because I want my own space. I can afford it, I can take care of myself, and I've always dreamed of living alone again like when I was young. I grew up with a different mindset shaped by being independent at a young age. I truly appreciate having a roof over my head all these years, but I simply don't want to live with them anymore. There was even one time they got into a drunken argument that turned really bad. She was screaming so loud. They go into a psychical fight and it traumatized me. That was a turning point for me. At that moment, I realized if I stay, she'll just use me as proof to my grandma that she's not the reason I left. My grandma already doesn't fully support their marriage. The reason she doesn't want my grandma to know about the pregnancy yet is my grandma is not going to be happy about it. My dad's income is around $500+ a month and will retire in 8 years. Once retired, his income will probably drop to $300 or less. My stepmom doesn't have a job. A bit more about her, she used to sing at restaurants and events, probably how she met my dad. Before the wedding, my grandma asked her to quit because it wasn't considered a respectable job. My dad didn't defend her or say anything. This is where I find my grandma And my dad might be the a-hole here. After they got married, she tried working at a printing shop, but quit within days saying it was too hot. She then tried starting a meatball business twice and failed both times, so now she's unemployed and expecting a baby. I don't want to be stuck in this household when things are clearly going to get more stressful. I want my own space. Raising a child is so expensive if you only have one income, and in the future I don't want to be expected to give money or allowance to a child that isn't mine. I have my own life to live. I want to leave and focus on myself, not my kid, not my problem. So Wibta if I moved out before her due date. Edit. Thank you all so much for the comments and advice. I'll be back with an update once I've talked to my grandma. I've talked to my mom and she supports my decision to move out. She was a child of divorce and the same thing happened to her, so she truly understands. She did ask me to go back to that house once a week as she understands my grandma feeling. And no, I can't live with her as she lives in the province. She abandoned city life when she started her small salon business as it's cheaper and more comfortable for her there. Update. Hi again, everyone. I wanted to thank you all for your comments and support on my last post. This is the first time I've ever had a serious conversation and opened up to my family, and it was hard as an Asian daughter-granddaughter. And I ended up in tears from recalling the memories of my childhood. But it really gave me the courage to speak up and take action. On August 5th, I talked to my grandma and my aunt, who now knows about my stepmom's pregnancy. I also opened up to them about how lonely and upset I felt during my younger years growing up mostly on my own and not feeling much emotional support. They both want me to stay and asked me to reconsider my decision. My grandma kept asking me why I wanted to move out, and I told her I just want to walk a new path in my life and live on my own. I haven't told her about the pregnancy yet, LOL. I will talk to my dad tomorrow as I can't do it anymore for today. During the conversation, my grandma hit me with, "Why would you do this? Don't you love me? I'm only living here because of you. If you move, I'll move too," with my aunt. She went on with many more similar words and blaming me for wanting to leave, tried to make me feel guilty for doing something for myself. But honestly, that didn't really work on me. I understand where she's coming from, but I also know that I need to do what's right for me. I forgot to mention I have two sisters. They both grew up with my dad's side of the family. It was a big household since they lived at my grandma, aunt's place with about 7-8 family members under one roof. My sisters used to go back and forth between that house and mine. They also knew that sometimes I was living alone when I was younger. Now, one of my sister, the first, is living abroad, and another one, the second, is living with us. She's a hoarder and has been dealing with depression, though her condition has been getting better. Unfortunately, my grandma doesn't understand mental health very well. Every time they talk, she says things like, "I don't understand you. Why are you doing this to me? I'm only doing this because I care about you." Instead of trying to understand her, my grandma often labels her as a trouble child and tells everyone, including our neighbors, about her behavior. It's really disheartening. She tries to guilt trip her too, but that method doesn't work on my sister either. I'm really proud of my sister for standing up for herself despite all that. I might look cold-hearted to them at this point, but I know I've made up my mind. I will not stay here. I'll visit them often after work or on the weekends. I admit it does hurt seeing my dad becoming a better man for someone else when I never got that version of him when I was young. Some of the comments asked if I can move in with my mom. The answer is no, I can't. She's living in the province and has abandoned city life since opening her small salon business. She's living alone with my sisters, the first cats. She still lives paycheck to paycheck, but my sisters and I help her every month with rent and bills. About finding a place, I actually already have one. I've been renting it for a while now as a way to escape the house from time to time. I've slowly started buying things to fill it in, like plates, an electric kettle, and a dish rack. Right now, I just need some cooking utensils. A rice cooker is a must-ha-ha, a fridge, and a few other essentials. The rent is quite cheap and my partner is kindly helping cover 50% of it. And no, I can't move in with my partner yet because in our culture, you wait until marriage to live together. We're planning and saving for that, hopefully in 2027 or sometime after. I'm doing this not out of hate or resentment, but because I want to build a life of my own. I'll be moving out by the end of December or early January. Thanks again to everyone who read and supported me.